It's showtime.
Good morning.
Hey, who were those two handsome guys? They look familiar.
The head cut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome back, everyone. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be anywhere.
It's nice to
It's nice to be alive. Bob Dylan said, "Any day above ground is a good day." So today's a good day.
So what about
I don't know if miners.
Submariners?
Do you think miners say that?
Yeah. What about the Submariners?
Yeah.
I bet you they say that too.
They probably do.
Yeah.
But they're underwater. That's different. I feel underwater sometimes. So we have been asked, because we are experts on all things of the kitchen.
All things.
And if you don't believe me, just ask him. And if you don't believe him, just ask me.
I will answer.
We have been asked. What?
Yes.
We have been asked, are sweet potatoes and yams the same thing? And the short answer is no, they are not. But we're not going to settle for a short answer. We're going to give you a long answer.
And we're going to show you how actually to make them.
Yes. You mean you're going to grow them for us? That's going to be a long show.
It's good. Yeah. I mean, what?
Okay.
Maybe just fry them. I'm going to go and show you how to make beautiful baked fried potatoes, sweet potatoes.
Ooh.
The sweet one.
In the meantime,
actually, those I do that for my boy a lot. He loves them.
Yeah, they're really good. It's a good snack. It's a good cocktail hour treat. Right. Sometimes we have them for lunch with just a salad.
Yeah, and it's super healthy also. So.
Oh, now you tell me. So sweet potatoes are probably the most important of the tropical root crops. They are not related to the potato at all, although they are both from the Americas.
And they are both, how do you call those?
Tubers. They are tubers.
Right.
They grow underground, which is, there's a lot to be said for growing underground food when you live in a place where there are lots of wars, because it's not as easy to destroy the crops when you don't see them. Anyway, sweet potatoes are very, very, very old. Probably not that one that you have, but the species in general is very old. They have found remains of sweet potatoes in a cave in Peru that were 8,000 years old. How about that?
8,000, wow.
Yeah, it's even older than us. Even older than us put together. And then they started to cultivate them sometime in like 2 or 3 BC, but they grew wild before that, and it was a staple food throughout South America, certainly in the Incan Empire.
Yeah. Yep.
But this is very interesting. They traveled, unlike a lot of the foods from the New World that went back to Europe, sweet potatoes moved west. They went to the islands of Hawaii and Polynesia, and they're not quite sure how this happened, but they think that one of two things happened. Either Peruvians were out in boats and got either lost, or they got caught in a storm or whatever, and they were shifted further west and they kept going until they hit land. Or there's a theory that they did it on purpose, that they set out to seek the lands in the west, and a guy named Thor, what was his name? Thor, a Norwegian guy who wrote a book called Kon-Tiki. He set out to prove that they traveled.
That's a great book. Oh my God. We have to study it in school.
He built a replica of this thatch boat, and he sailed it from somewhere in the South Sea Islands to South America, proving that they could have done it.
Yep.
Because there were a lot of foods that exchanged. They found coconuts in South America, which are not native, though. Those are native to Asia. Somehow these coconut. So originally they thought, oh, maybe the coconut just floated across, but more likely it was taken across by explorers. Very interesting. And it's also interesting to note that the name for sweet potatoes in Peru in the original language was kumar.
Kumar.
Okay. And the names for the fruit throughout the Polynesian islands is variously kumala, gumala, umala. So that lends even more evidence to suggest that the Peruvians brought it to them, and they probably said, "This is what we call it," and it just morphed into that name.
I thought kumala was their scream. That was the sweet potato scream.
Oh,
but no.
Only when you pick one. Right, only when you cut it in half, which you're about to do.
And actually, I need to start that because, chef, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because I want you to finish. This is very cool. But meanwhile, I will show you quickly how to make a sweet potato fries because it's so easy. And it's so easy. Just you should do that all the time. And that works the same for the potatoes. I'm just going to show you how basically to cut it.
So what do you need for this? You need a knife.
So I'm going to do a sweet potato fries with...
I have a knife here.
Let me see that.
Let me hand it to you.
Let me see your knife. So that's an oyster knife, right?
We're not doing oysters today. I'm sorry. All right, we'll use your knife.
Sweet potato, olive oil, bowl, shallots is for later, a parchment paper so I don't spend the whole day cleaning. Okay, so I'm just going to take that sweet potato. This is all organic. So I already washed it, and because it's organic, I'm going to keep the skin. So all I need to do is remove. I'm going to show you better. Remove the ends because this is going to burn. So might as well get rid of it right away. Then I'm going to cut it in two because I could have those long fries, but it's going to be much easier to work with on small fries, and it's going to be easier to serve anyway. So I'm going to cut it, and you see how this is kind of dangerous? So the best way is to grab this. Okay.
Aha.
This.
Your knife is much bigger than mine.
Right. So this guy, I'm not going to go like this, okay? Because this is going to follow the fiber. It's not a good idea. So the best way is to go like this. Bring your hand. So you hold that. So this thing doesn't wobble, and when you push, you hold the whole thing. And you go and you smash that, right? Do it again. Go in there. And that's especially when the kids are working. You see, this is dangerous. You don't want to push down.
Right.
You really want to grab that. You see?
Good technique.
That's a good grip. Okay? Now I'm going to cut those in two. So
Let's
I could do like this, but this is not a good idea, right?
Do you still have 10 fingers?
Yes.
Do you still have all 10 fingers?
Yes, sir. So I have this too wobbly. So let's go here.
Ah.
Same. Okay, same. Now I need this to cut in two. How do I do that cut? Best way is to go back to the same grip like this. Okay. So I'm here, same grip. You see that? And that's what I want. I want that. Do you understand, James, why I want this?
No.
So they can hold on the tray like this and bake just by themselves.
Aha.
See? So I'm going to cut those and very quick finish them and put them in a bowl right away. With oil, okay? Bunch of oil. And I have to do it right away so they don't oxidize. They need to be all nice and wet so they don't get brown. So I'm just going to keep working really fast. James, you can talk about the sweet potato. I'm going to show you after a while.
Okay. Well, I've already talked about how they first moved west to Polynesia and then eventually to Asia. Then they got up into China and eventually to Japan. And they've traced this through the name all through these countries. And the name kind of evolves, but it's very interesting how you can follow a food around the world by what it's called. And the same thing happened. The same thing happens when it went east, because the first Europeans to taste sweet potatoes was Columbus and his crew. And they tasted them on the island of Haiti. And in Haiti, the word for the sweet potato was batata, B-A-T-A-T-A.
Yeah.
So they took that word with them, and then it morphed in Spain to patata, and it became the word for the regular potato, which is kind of a misnomer, but that's how that name came to be. Very interesting. And then, of course,
James, I'm going to stop you for a minute. I just want to put salt, a little bit of salt here. I could put some spices if I wanted to. Let's say I have some really cool spices somewhere, whatever spice blend I have. This is a Berber spice that I make here.
Oh, nice. Is that spicy? Is it
little spicy. And make sure there's plenty of oil, though. You see, because the thing with the potatoes or any of those guys you go in the oven, if there's not enough oil, what happens is they just dry and burn.
Right.
With the fat, they're going to rise temperature, and they're going to taste really good. All right. And then
Berber
all I need
spice,
to do,
I bet that's good.
Yeah, I do have an oven ready at 400 degrees. I'm going to put those in there. Just like that, you see. And that's going to go for about 40 minutes. That's it.
And then later, you're going to make a little sauce for these, right? A little dipping
I'm going to make
sauce.
a yogurt sauce with tahini. We can talk about that. And this is great. James, I know that you were talking about the yams and the stuff, so I'm going to let you finish.
This is a truly international dish you're making. You've got sweet potatoes from South America. You've got Berber spice from North Africa. You've got tahini from the Levant. And what else do you have? Yogurt from everywhere.
Greece,
yes. So, because
I have to wash my hand. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, go ahead. Because the sweet potato grows in a tropical climate, is why it never really caught on in Northern Europe, because they couldn't grow it up there. They grew it briefly in France because one of the kings liked them a lot, and I'm not sure how they grew them, but you just can't grow them up there because it's too cold. They won't take, and so it really never became a Northern European thing. But when they went to Africa, when they went to Africa, where the yam was the staple food, especially in Western Africa and across that band of Africa, they introduced sweet potatoes there, and they eventually have almost completely supplanted the yam, because the yams are very hard to harvest. They grow like a meter underground. A meter is like about 3 feet.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're really tough to harvest, and they're also not as good. They're not as tasty. They're very dry. They're very fibrous, and they're kind of bland tasting. You really have to add a lot to make them taste like anything, whereas the sweet potatoes have a lot of flavor. They're not all sweet, by the way. There are some varieties that are very, very, very not sweet, very savory. They can also be a little fibrous. But the most popular one is the one that you're cooking now. It's sort of got that orange flesh, and they're sweet. Another good thing to do with them is to simply cut them in half and bake them, and put a little maple syrup and nutmeg on them. It's really good.
Yeah,
I like them with butter.
I'm sorry, I have to check. The problem with sweet stuff is I'm tired of putting sweet stuff everywhere. So sweet potato is already sweet. There's already sugar in there, a good amount of sugar. I don't see why you should add maple syrup and on and on. This is the thing that is about the cooking here. It's always, adding some sweetness and some sugar. You know, it's like, so I'm hoping to always go like away from that. But
well, my favorite thing is just to sort of mash it when it comes out of the oven, and I put a little pat of butter on it. I think butter's really good on sweet potatoes. You could put a little olive oil instead.
Butter is actually there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, sweet potatoes, very interesting crop. It is a huge crop around the world. They're very nutritious,
And
from what I understand.
Right. So what's the difference? The difference is basically they are tropical. They have way more fiber, so much less moisture. So much less moisture. You understand that what we find here are mostly sweet potatoes because they have that juicy. Those are the good fries. The yams are drier, way drier, not as fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're more like you know those African. It's called a yam also. It's called the starch. That starch they eat in Africa. That what is it called? We make stews with that.
Taro, maybe.
Yeah, taro. No. There's something else. Anyway, I forgot. Oh my god.
It's funny. Do you know how yams got their names? When the Portuguese slave traders were first, when they saw, they're coming to get you.
You don't have the most recent picture, so I don't think that's gonna happen.
When the Portuguese slave traders first saw these African guys digging up yams, they asked them what it was, and they didn't really understand what they were asking them, so they just said "nyam," which basically was their word for food, something to eat. So they just thought that was the name of that particular crop, and so when they went back, they said, "Yeah, these are called yams." But in fact, that word, it's sort of like NYAM, just means something to eat. So it's like these are called food.
Yeah, right. This is food. All right, so I have my sweet potatoes in the oven. They're gonna cook for about 40 minutes. When we have a little bit of time, we'll do a little dressing and make them pretty whenever you want.
Okay. So I have another question that we've been asked, and this one is a very timely question because it has to do with the current situation in the world. I don't want to talk too much about the pandemic because people get bombarded with that already through the news, but there's been a lot of talk about sterilizing surfaces, and I know that when people come home from the grocery store, they go through elaborate rituals of cleaning everything, getting rid of packaging, and some people are very, very nervous about it. And so I thought we'd talk about that a little bit, about contracting something through surface. And the virus is very different than germs. Like cold germs, you can pick up from things, but the virus is very different. It really spreads by aerosol. In other words, even if you spit, that goes out in a droplet and it goes right to the ground and stays there. But when you talk or when you sneeze or when you laugh or when you yell, you're sending little aerosols out into the air, which is why, of course, the health authorities are telling everybody to stay 6 feet apart because that aerosol won't travel, and wear a mask. But when you, if you really the only way you could spread this through a surface would be if I had the virus and I sneezed on a lemon and then put it on the table, and you immediately picked up that lemon and then put your hands all over your face and in your mouth. That's kind of how you could do it, but otherwise it's very, very difficult.
Without going too much into details, because this is way too much of a controversy and people get very upset with all this stuff. What I can tell you right away is we know the virus doesn't go into the stomach. It may go, but it's going to be eaten. The thing with what's happening in the stomach, you need to understand. There is in the stomach something called hydrochloric acid. The acidity of that thing is 1. That's like, there's nothing more acidic than that.
Yeah.
By the time the water comes in with the stomach, it doesn't stay at 1, but it can go down to like 3 or 4 or 5, which is very, very low, very acidic. This is the first barrier about bacteria and virus. It's already taking care of it here. There's a whole thing that happens when you eat stuff. Okay, you don't just grab stuff. So basically, like you say, the virus or the bacteria should be in. You should not catch anything, and it's been proven actually that you don't really catch stuff on touching. But most importantly, you don't catch things. You have to think of your body is here to protect you. You forget that part. Now, everything on your body has stuff to protect you. Your skin, your bacteria. Also in the stomach, you have your acid, you have hair, you have a bunch of stuff. You have a lot of things that will stop that. So even if we don't know exactly how this virus works, really, viruses are viruses. And what they do. So yes, you should not be worrying too much about touching food. And you should just pay attention and eat a lot.
Kenny, that's wrong. You should not sneeze on your lemons. Oh my God.
Unless you're happy to see them. And people do that sometimes.
The other thing I would say is if it makes you feel good to wash everything, then go ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. And
I mean, you need to wash anyways. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So.
Right. My wife, when she buys a lot of vegetables, she cleans everything and then packs it up with paper towel in bags and stuff. So it's all ready to use. When she's ready to cook it, it's basically ready. She can get it out and prep it for cooking. So it doesn't hurt anything.
I would say that's not a good idea. James, listen.
I
when
know.
you get no, it's not that. It's just fish just woke up. That's why. What could we say? Oranges.
You could sneeze into your hand or into your elbow.
Well, it depends if you want like those shiny Italian hair, You
should only sneeze. You should only sneeze on the back of your knee. But yeah, so what you were saying is you're saying you shouldn't wash stuff too far in advance.
Yeah. Because one thing you need to remember is when you store those, if you don't dry them well or if they have not dried, they'll develop mold.
Yeah.
So
she dries everything.
So you should keep it. Wash whatever you need as you go. Don't put water on stuff and go in the fridge. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Only because the mold.
Yeah.
So especially it's especially true for herbs. You don't wash your hand when you come home. You keep them. You don't want to keep your food too long either. Huh? So don't keep it days and days and days.
No. Back on my D. Getting my
fish is one of my. By the way, fish is one of my chef. Awesome, fantastic chef. He was a student of mine for many years, and then he became a really, really amazing chef. And it's not my fault.
Does fish ever cook meat? You got to spray while I mix everything with alcohol, not the good kind.
Yeah, it works. Alcohol. You guys remember to keep healthy, keep your immune in check, keep eating good food. Don't eat processed food. We're gonna go back to the same thing. I know it's like the stupidest thing. I wish I could find some new stuff to tell you, but there's not. There's no new stuff. Eat well, exercise. Well, done. I mean, I could go and say there's a new way. No, there's no new way. It's the same.
No.
Okay.
No.
For 6 years. Oh wow, that has been long. That's why I thought that was long.
6 years. What? That he's been a chef, or that he's known you?
He was born 6 years ago.
Oh, he looks older than that.
He's a newborn.
Ooh, I'll bet that's awesome. Do you really hunt boar? Wow, that's amazing. I've had wild boar stew, and it's really, really good. I've had it in Europe and in Spain. Well,
so one thing about
Spain is in Europe.
Interesting about boar and all those stuff. In Corsica they have a lot of wild boar and a lot of wild animal pate. I don't know if anybody of you guys have tried that, but it's very different. The flavor is not everybody can eat that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I've had it in Germany. I've had boar in Germany, and I've had a boar stew in Spain that was from a guy that I'm pretty sure hunted the boar.
Right.
But
the
it was
flavor is very strong, and if people have never tried, it's interesting. It's very different. It has nothing to do with meat. It's like, whew, because that's the guy is working with the myoglobin in the meat, gives a lot of flavor, the very strong flavor. Some people don't like lamb, but imagine the wild boar is like 10 times more flavor sometimes.
Well, and that's kind of true with wild game anyway. I mean, wild game birds taste much stronger than, say, chicken does or a guinea hen.
And
I mean, even pheasant, very strong tasting.
Yes. And actually, so people know what game mean. Game is literally all the animal that was part of a game, like the shooting game that people used to do in the 1700 and 1800. And when there's a game or where they go hunting in the horde of people, that's the game. So any category of animal that fit in those will be a game. That's what the name comes from.
And you don't come across it in this country very much unless somebody hunts themselves, because there's such strict health regulations about selling game. And in Europe, they're much more used to it. So in the butcher shops in England, you can find wild game hanging. Ooh, wild boar rillette. I'll bet that's yum.
Yeah.
Is that a wild boar in the picture? Oh, there's a wild boar. There's an example of a wild boar right there. La Marcia has wild boar meatball tapas.
Lucy,
you type so well.
She's James, Lucy, she just started to work with us. She's going to be, I should introduce you to her. She's going to be doing some posting for social media. Hello, Lucy.
She's very cute.
Cute dog.
Don't call Lucy a dog.
So anyway.
So where were we? Cleaning surfaces. Yes. Just be smart. Use common sense. Don't panic too much.
One thing that
panic is never good.
One thing stupid thing that I have whiteboard I was cutting is very extremely lean, not particularly tasty.
That's what happened to my wild boar. I wondered what happened to him.
Did you put it leash? Yeah, do you have a name tag?
Yeah. Was he wearing a collar at the time?
So, if he was not very flavorful, I'm wondering if he was he didn't run that much, because the thing is, some games can be very strong flavor, not all of them. So maybe this one was not, or maybe you prepared it right. What did you do, Georgian? That's good. Yeah.
Also, if it was extremely lean, you can, there's a technique called larding where you can actually insert pieces of fat into the meat. And that's a great thing to do with very, very lean cuts of meat, like rabbit, the boar we're talking about.
And lean meat often doesn't taste as much because the flavors is not in the protein, the flavor is in the fat.
Right. If there's no fat, there's no flavor. So it's a great thing to add. Even just smearing fat all over the meat while you're cooking it is going to help. But I think inserting it in is really good. So, well, now that I know what happened to my pet boar, I can take down all those signs I put up.
Looking for my wife and my boar.
So you killed my pet boar, and then you insult me by telling me it didn't taste very good. Well, fine.
Oh Lord. Pork fat is fantastic.
Pork fat's good.
Actually, the pork fat, the cool thing about pork, and this is something that also people are confused. If I tell you, for example, that lard is most of it, more than 50% is unsaturated. It's a monounsaturated, so it's like olive oil, literally olive oil, monounsaturated. Right. Beautiful stuff. Yeah. So pork lard is very, 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 very healthy. Really, really healthy, right?
I've told you that the Iberican pigs in the southwest of Spain, they call them olive trees on legs because the fat is so healthy.
It's exactly the same as olive oil, really the same fat. It's really excellent fat. And that's why you use it also for pastry. We talked about this because it holds really well and gives this amazing flavor. And it's super healthy. Super healthy fat, okay?
So just remember, lard is not a 4-letter word. So
what is that? What do you mean?
I don't know what I mean.
I'm going to get my fries. I'm going to see what the fries look like, Chef.
Okay. In the meantime, we're going to talk about shallots because I know you were going to do a little demonstration with shallots.
Nice. You know what?
Shallots are one of those secret ingredients we've talked about when people say, why does restaurant food taste better than mine? Shallots is one of the reasons. They add a lot of flavor to food. They use them a lot in sauces. They use them in all kinds of... Are those done?
Yep, they're done. Well, how long?
Oh, wow, that was fast.
Okay, so
fast.
Sweet potato could go a little faster. They could go a little faster.
Nice.
So how do I know they're done? Easy. But it's hot, so don't do that right away. But since I don't feel pain, I can show you. You basically... You see, if you can do that.
Yeah. Olivier's a cyborg, so he doesn't feel pain in his fingers.
I'm all made of cartilage. There's no bone.
So are you going to do a little sauce for those now?
Yes. For the sauce, so I got my beautiful sweet potatoes. They're really nice. Very nice.
They are nice.
Perfect. You see, not too greasy, and the skin is taking the heat. So this is really good because then they all cook at the same rate, and you have air circulation around. They don't fall like this. I don't want them to fall. I want them to stay up, because when they fall and this one fall, and you can see that's what happened. It burns everything.
Right.
So some people like the burn. The thing is, burn is good to a little bit, but not too much, because it's not as healthy as you can. So a little bit is good.
Also, there's a lot of nutrients in that skin, so it's good to keep the skin on when you cook them, just like potatoes.
And that's why I buy them organic, though. Right?
Yes.
So I'm going to do a basil, you guys. I'm going to do basil yogurt tahini sauce.
Nice. You say tahini, I say tahani. Tahina.
Tahini.
In Israel, they call it tahina.
They do?
Yeah. I don't know why.
So
they think they invented this stuff.
I get some, yogurt, thick yogurt. I like...
what they call Greek yogurt now.
Yeah, something from Greece. Anything. And I'm going to have some harissa in there. Ooh. Harissa. I usually make my own, but today or not. I'm just going to put some in there.
So now we're back into North Africa.
Let's put some of that Berber spice. Remember that spice that I had? Well, we keep the same idea. I'm going to need some tahini.
And we should say what tahini is. Tahini is simply ground sesame seeds. And it is the peanut butter of the Levant, really. I mean, people in Israel, I know, they eat it like peanut butter. They'll use it in sandwiches, but it's great to put into sauces.
Because you know why?
Why?
It's full of protein. It's a huge amount of protein. So it is really, really healthy. And it's really cool like this. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon and lemon zest. That's it.
Yeah. It's really good stuff. And, of course, it's the classic ingredient in hummus.
Yes.
You add tahini to chickpeas and olive oil, and you grind that
up. And
also,
chef, and also from hummus. I mean, falafel.
Right.
That's what falafel is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to put some basil in there, guys. I'm just going to take some basil, but I'm going to show you how to cut basil. I was going to put mint, but I have so much basil in my fridge. I'm just going to use basil. So do you understand? It's whatever herb you want, right? I mean,
Right.
Obviously you don't care. But there's a way to cut the basil so it stays pretty, and okay, just like mint. All right. First thing you do is you're gonna start rolling them, just like a little, and remove whatever is not pretty. This is old. Let's get rid of this. And then we're gonna pile them up, right? You roll that like a
cigar.
What would that be? What would that be?
I don't know. I see people in Berkeley roll things like that all the time.
I know. And then long stroke, long stroke, long stroke. You see my knife traveling from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Gentle. The idea of that is you don't want to bruise. Okay? You don't want to bruise. You just want a nice cut. So this is what I do. Okay?
Nice.
Then I'm going to dump that in there, add some lemon to the sauce, serve that dish a little bit fun, and that's it. And here, you see, you're going like this. I'm just going to, and if I want to do a little mincing, but the basil has to be very fragile. Has to be light. And when I say light, it's because my fingers go really light on that basil. So you see, it stays really green. Very important.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into a paste, and you don't want a lot of heat. So all that cutting creates friction that makes heat.
And you see, my table is not green either, so I didn't lose nutrients. So it's all there, right?
Right.
I'm going to put that in there, and I love basil, so I'm going to put a bunch, and that's it. That's all I need to do. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do a little presentation after that.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna keep some of that. I'm gonna make a nice plate. All right, let's do that. All right, what's the next subject? I'm gonna get a plate so we can do something.
Make it pretty. Make it sexy. Well, let's talk about shallots.
Yes.
That's a pleasant noise. What was that?
It's my new underwear. I had to switch it around. There's an alarm. Some type of alarm. I don't know what that means.
I told you he was a cyborg. So shallots, yes, we've been asked, are shallots the same as onions, and what's the difference? What's the similarities? As we said before, when people say, why does restaurant food taste different? One of the reasons is because they use a lot of shallots, and they get used in vinaigrette. They get used in sauces. They get added to the base mixtures when you're cooking sauces or doing all kinds of stuff. So they're really good. They're classic ingredient in a risotto. In Milan, the classic risotto alla Milanese, they start by sautéing shallots in butter and olive oil, and before they add the rice, and long before they add the broth. Get it all cooked up in there. Shallots are related to onions. They're in the same family, but they're different because of the way they grow. They grow in little clusters, little tight clusters, so there are lots of them together.
James, keep going. I really wanted you to talk, if you know, about how they keep the onions so they can age. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. So we can show them that. I'll find a picture for them. So yes. So go ahead right now. Yeah.
So shallots tend to be much sweeter than onions, although some onions are very sweet. But they have a very distinctive flavor. They're really easy to cut up. You don't need a lot in a dish, but they bring a lot to a dish. I think Olivier is going to show us how to chop them today.
Yes.
If we talk real nice to him, he might demo that.
Actually, if you stop talking, I might do that.
Fine.
If you keep talking, there won't be any room for me to talk.
That's a nice looking little plate there.
I'm getting there. So there was this thing, the rule, chef, about when something goes it has to be 3. You know that rule?
I'm a maverick. I
3,
don't play by
5,
the rules.
3, 5, 7, 9.
Oh yeah, that's true in
everything
juggling too.
In what?
In juggling, you always want to juggle odd
Yeah.
numbers.
So it's funny because I asked someone. I said, "Why is this?" So it's a feng shui thing, right? It's always 3 or 5 or 9. It's always
Right.
odd, And I said, "Why is this like this?" It's like the person who told me that is like, "Well, usually 2 that never works well." Just 2 never works.
I like odd numbered food because then I don't have to share as much. If somebody wants half, I always get an extra piece. So.
Oh yeah.
But that's just me. That's beautiful. Now that served with a little glass of wine or a cocktail would be a lovely, lovely thing.
Yeah, and then you can do is you can make a little. We can make a little.
Oh, now you're getting fancy. Well, you just raised the price of that dish by $2 by sprinkling that on.
Right. But you know what? It's worth it because the thing is, when you see something pretty, it's always cool. You always get something.
Yep. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, I'd love to taste it.
Well, I have a bunch, so it's right here, my friend, and I'm actually going to take a picture, and then I'm going to show you how to cut the shallots. Fine.
Okay. Now we are going to add the Taste-O-Rama app to our show so that you can taste everything that Olive cooks from now on. But we don't have it up and running yet, so we'll let you know when we get that. As soon as we invent it, we're going to add it to the show.
Yes.
And I'm working on it.
So.
See how the shallot grows together like that? That's
weird, huh?
Yeah. They're such lovely little things.
Meanwhile, Chef, I'm just going to find quickly something about the onion. I thought that was really cool.
You mean how they store them from when they harvest them in the spring? I know they wrap them in newspapers, but
it's crazy. It's like you have to age. The onion has to age to get that crust. So I'm not sure I'm going to find it. Maybe for next week. Actually.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right.
But it's very, very cool. I was very surprised. I mean, but it's like it was an interesting concept, and we will talk about it. All right, how to cut shallots? It's pretty easy. There's, like you said, there's 2. Sometimes they don't have a skin in between. Sometimes they are literally together entirely. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you 2 cuts. Okay, one is going to be a little more difficult, one a little more easy. The first one is the hard one. So you get that. And peel, and they are a pain to peel. So yes, there's no.
Yeah, they're not as easy to peel as garlic
or onion. Okay, so you have to kind of go in there, and it's fine. Just do your little knife work. Try to get it like this. That's great. Okay, so I'm removing the stem. In any case, you keep the root. Always keep the root, and that goes for onion and shallots. Always the same.
Right.
So you keep those guys. Now, what?
Very nice. What a pretty color.
Well, those are the antioxidants. So these are flavonoids. So anything purple, like the red onion and the blueberries, have lots of antioxidants. All right, first cut. I'm going to go and make a few slits here, 1 and 2. Okay, horizontal first. And I'm not going to go through the blade. I'm not through the root. I'm going to stop before the root, right? I'm going to make just a couple. And then I'm going to kind right straight down. The tip of the blade does not pass the root. So I'm going to go like this. I want you to see it really well. So now I have a bunch of sticks.
Right.
Okay. And all I need to do is now slice really thin, and I have some minced shallots, and the shallots We're done. Look, it's
And
done.
those are almost all the same size, which is important.
Exactly. And what exactly? You never want to do that with an onion or shallots. You never want to do that. This is not a good idea. Okay, don't chop.
Yeah.
Always do exactly what I told you.
Because you don't want all that. You don't want all that juice coming out. You don't want it to be just a wet mess.
The other cut you do a lot is slice thin on the egg. That's all. That's all you need to do. So all you need to do is slice just like this. You see?
Mm-hmm. Now you could cut those and do pickled shallots, couldn't you?
Yes. If you want to pickle them, you need to cut them about this big.
Yeah. And that's a great condiment, pickled shallots.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is my pickles, big. This is usually for salads. You can put that in vinegar quickly to make them better. And this one would be a minced shallots.
So you could start your risotto with that. Heat up some olive oil and butter, about half and half. Throw the shallots in there and just do it very, very gently. You don't want them to burn. You don't want them to crisp up. You just want them to sort of start to get translucent. Then you add your rice. You give that a little saute, and it just kind of puts a little crust on each grain of rice. So and it also coats it in the oil really well, so that they stay separate and they cook evenly. And then you start adding the broth. And that's how you make proper risotto.
Yes.
Making risotto is very fun. I love making risotto.
It's fun, it's long, and it's boring. So I was going to do a class on that. The problem is the class is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because you're like...
yeah. But you can add so many things to it. At the end, you can add seafood. You can add some cooked chicken. You can add... I used to like to do it with the dried porcini mushrooms, and I would reconstitute them, and then in warm water, and then take that when the mushrooms are reconstituted, take them out, and then take that warm water that's now all full of that mushroomy goodness, pour it through a cheesecloth, and then you put that liquid into the broth liquid that you're going to cook the rice in. So add it to the. I usually use a combination of stock and white wine.
So if you use the white wine for the risotto, you have to use it first. Use the white wine first. Don't mix it with your stock.
Right.
Get the wine first in the rice.
Right.
And you keep going with the stock. Okay.
Yeah, and then that's going to kind of burn off the alcohol, so it's going to all turn to vapor and go up. So it's just going to retain a lot of the flavor, and then you start adding stock.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now I'm hungry. Now you've done it.
I have those sweet potato fries, man.
So I had one more thing to talk about.
Yes.
It's kind of a funny little subject, but we had a question about mint and how many kinds of mint are there and what's the difference, basically. And yeah, the short answer is a lot. There's about 24 species of mint, but there are actually hundreds of varieties within those species. So there's just tons and tons and tons. And they've all probably just morphed into one thing after another. You know, you grow them in a different place, they grow together with something else, and they've morphed into other things. But but some.
Let me James, wait. Let's start by something that the mint is the biggest family in smelly herbs. So all the herbs that smell, basil included, tarragon, thyme, oregano, all of them are mint family. So sorry.
Is that a technical term? Smelly herbs?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
But people
those are all mint, all of them. Yeah.
Some suggest that you can divide mint into two very broad categories, and those are between spearmint and peppermint. And spearmint, there's a lot of different varieties of it. There's different strengths, the flavors vary. But spearmint is more the cook's mint. It's what you use a lot in cooking, either fresh or cooked into something.
Okay.
Peppermint, though, is very interesting because peppermint, although it's grown throughout Europe and places, it's a huge crop in North America. Why? Because of peppermint oil.
Yes. Why?
Peppermint oil is a hugely used ingredient in the confections industry, particularly chewing gum. That's probably its biggest use, but they use it a lot in confections. So anytime you've got a mint flavored something or other, but also toothpaste, and they even use it in tobacco. They use it in the tobacco industry because when they make menthol cigarettes, peppermint oil has been added to that, and that's a big factor in what gives that.
There you have it.
Yeah, menthol cigarettes are intense. I smoked for a while, many years ago, and for a while I smoked menthol, and those things are just wicked. They're
right.
I'm so glad I stopped smoking. 22 years ago, I stopped smoking.
Wow. Good job, man.
Yeah. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but you know.
Now that you've done, yeah.
Now that I'm done. There's one kind of mint called Menthe de Milly. It's from a town in the Ile-de-France called Milly-en-Gâtinais. And it's a town that for centuries, this is interesting, for centuries they've been known as a center. They've grown herbs for medicinal uses. And they actually have their own mint that's named after the village because it's so distinct. Thought that was very interesting. Those French, they're always doing interesting things.
With medicine plants?
Yeah. Have you ever known any French people?
And booze. Well, remember the Chartreuse?
Yeah, right.
So Chartreuse and this guy.
Oh, yeah. Absinthe. Yeah.
So absinthe is fun. It's made, so this one is a really good one. It's made from 130 different plants, remember?
Yeah. It's amazing stuff.
Very, very strong. And in that plant, there is wormwood, right? And wormwood is what is used all over Africa for COVID-19. It's the Artemisia annula.
Huh.
It's Artemisia annula. This is how they make their hydrochloroquine. It's the quinine.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what wormwood is. That's what it is. So this is your...
Wormwood is what gave absinthe its bad reputation in the Belle Epoque era in France because they said that it made you go crazy.
It's not that. You remember that? Do you remember what made them crazy, right?
It's that it was like 150 proof.
That's what it is. 170 proof.
And they were drinking it like crazy. They would go to the cafes and they would drink that stuff all night long. It's no wonder they got crazy. It's no wonder Van Gogh cut his ear off. I mean, they're just... But they blamed it on the wormwood because it does have hallucinogenic properties to it. But
wormwood is used in pharmacy. It's been used for many years.
Right.
I don't know, 60 years or something. Wormwood is a good. It's an anti-malaria, really, literally. That's why it is.
Yeah, and it's the ban on absinthe is what created pastis. They started making pastis instead. Same kind of flavor, that anise flavor, and it reacts the same to water. When you put a little water in, it turns all cloudy, and it's just a wonderful flavor.
I have something to show you.
Anisette. Yeah, good stuff. What are you going to show us?
I have to find it. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the Ricard company is the one that started. They were the first ones to come out with the pastis so that they could keep selling it after absinthe was illegal throughout the world for a long time. It was illegal here. We now sell an absinthe that's César that's made by St. George Spirits over in Alameda, and they've recreated.
Oh yeah, how's that?
It's really delicious. I
haven't tried it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily my thing. I don't drink a lot of anisette, but it's really good. It's absolutely delicious. I've got a bottle upstairs of a Spanish, basically a kind of pastis that our friend Kenny was trying to market over here. And apparently it's very, very big in Spain. And I've got a little sample bottle upstairs. He had given me a taste. It's delicious. But he claims that to drink it the way they do in Spain, you put it in your coffee first thing in the morning. I can't quite go there yet.
This is what we need.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We need that.
Just drive it around the country, spraying everything down. It'd be over. Is there a guy in the plane just dumping bottles of pastis out, do you think? Wow. Wow. That is awesome.
So that was funny.
That would solve a lot of problems.
I'd say yes.
Hey, I know that guy in the bottom there with the mask.
Oh, man. Yeah, that Ricard needs to be everywhere, that's for sure. Well, that was a good show today, man. We have 5 more minutes to finish your mint thing. And
well, I don't have much more to say about mint.
Well, you were going to say, is it healthy? Yes, it's very healthy.
Very healthy.
Just like any herbs, eat a lot of herbs. Don't smoke them. Smoking is not.
No.
For some reason, smoking meat, I thought that was crazy stuff to do. But anyway, what do I know?
It's funny how they, in Greece, the young brides used to wear wreaths of braided mint, but because it had to do with a Greek myth about a nymph called Mintha, who fell in love with a god and then got turned into a plant or something, some crazy Greek legend. But because of her virtue, the young brides would wear these braids of mint in their hair. And in ancient Rome, Pliny, the philosopher Pliny, recommended that students wear laurel wreaths made out of mint leaves because it would stimulate their brains. It would, as he said, it would exhilarate their minds. And you know what? He may have been right. Mint is really good for that. Like aromatherapy, mint is very much a stimulant of the thinking process.
Actually, rosemary is specifically for the brain and memories.
Yeah. So,
but yes, all those herbs are stimulating for the brain. Yes, absolutely.
That's why mint tea. In the Arabs, they make a mint tea with mint and sugar. I have Arab friends that used to always serve mint tea after dinner.
Oh yeah.
And it was the same thing. It really kind of perked you up. It really.
Oh yeah, mint at night you can't sleep. It's an excitant. So you have to be careful. You can't drink the mint tea too late, because even though there's no caffeine, it's an excitant. It's really a strong excitant. Yeah.
Well, we were drinking it in combination with smoking opium, so maybe that's why it kind of counteracted each other. But
yeah, totally.
my Iranian friend who used to bring out his opium pipe and he'd bring out the pretty little glasses of tea. It was so good. I used to look forward to it. It was really nice, and the opium was really mild. It wasn't a big, heavy opiate thing. It was just kind of a mild high. Probably shouldn't say this. Police are probably rushing to my house.
I know. If you have some 3 short knots
and see a pair of shiny shoes out there, I better run.
If you see a state official with a stick and.
That's right.
Glasses.
Yeah.
All right. That was great, man.
Probably not a great thing to recommend as the country struggles with the opioid crisis, but hey, you know what? Everything in moderation, I say.
Except moderation.
Except moderation.
I say. So next week, let's try to do the croque madame next week. Today I was going to do it, except it's a little short because I need to make the bechamel, I need to grill the bread in butter, then I need to go in the oven. So we have to be next week. It has to be really, but it will be fun. And then you can have one. I can make one for you.
So tune in next week. We're going to do croque madame.
Croque madame, which is the croque monsieur with an egg.
Right. which I love. I love, love, love. So, and a lot of people make croque monsieur here in America at, you know, sort of, you know, so-called bistros. But a lot of times it's just a grilled cheese sandwich. They don't. They don't do the whole thing. And
you have to do bechamel. The bechamel has to be done with the right, you know, with mustard and clove and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Then you have to put mustard on the sandwich. You have to put your bechamel. You have to put your Swiss or your Gruyere. You have to toast the bread in butter. Then you have to. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we'll do it next week.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much to everyone. Yes.
Hope you had a good time.
I
hope you enjoyed the fries. I noticed Olivier didn't share any of them with us, but you know, maybe next time he will.
I share with my stomach. It's been like knocking on the thing, and I'm like, okay. So I did. So I did share.
All right. Well, join us next week. In the meantime.